Okay, and we are back on the air. Welcome to another episode of the Napoleon and Gueco podcast.
What's up, everybody?
Yeah, so
Napoleon, good to see you again, man.
great to see you, Gueco. Doing great in Maine right now.
Doing great. Yep. Um, Sunday, but yeah, good, doing good. I played tennis, very good doubles match earlier. We unfortunately lost in the third set, 7-5. But we played. It was good to play with high performance players for a change.
Right. So now you're playing a doubles match. You were just playing best of three, not best of five, right?
Oh yeah. We're not doing the Grand Slam yet.
Right. No, I still think that even in doubles, it's still best of three. But I think it's only men's singles where they have to win best of five.
That's it. That's true. That's true. Doubles. Most tournaments they do actually a tiebreak, a 10-point tiebreak nowadays. But I'm guessing on the Wimbledon, I think it is the full third set. And do you know exactly what the rule is if they get to 6-all on Wimbledon? Do they keep playing still, or is there a limit is there a tiebreak now?
It used to be if it got to 6-all on the last set, it used to be only the U.S. Open that did a fifth set tiebreaker. I'm going by men's singles, but
Right.
that's usually how they would do it. But like the other tournaments, Australian Open, French Open, Wimbledon, they would just keep going in the last set until one person won the game by 2 points. But then it actually happened in Wimbledon. I think it was right before the pandemic, about 5 years ago, 2019. I believe Novak Djokovic and Roger Federer were playing in the finals, and they kept holding serve. They kept tying each other until I think Djokovic finally won it 19 to 17 points in that set.
Right.
And I think it was after that they decided to do fifth set tiebreakers for at least all of the men's singles. Now, as far as doubles, I don't really keep up with those as much. So it's very possible that they could still keep playing in the third set,
No,
but
I don't think they would.
yeah, probably not. I think now there's just kind of like after that one tournament, that's what made the rest of the Grand Slams be like, okay, let's just allow for tiebreakers in the last set.
Well, there was a match between Isner and the other guy. Oh, I'm blanking his name, but it was a very long match. I think it took like 2 or 3 days, if I'm not mistaken, because they also had to deal with rain, and they set the record for how many games they played. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, let's see. The longest tennis match.
Isner,
Right.
and
lasted 11 hours and 5 minutes.
And Mahut.
And was contested over 3 days between John Isner and Nicholas, I don't know, is it,
Mahut.
Mahut.
Yeah,
I
think
2010 Wimbledon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I actually was watching it live, which was crazy.
Oh, yeah, John Isner. It says John Isner won it. How, they each won 2 sets, and then the final set was 70 to 68 in a match that lasted 665 minutes.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Man.
And Mahut is like a smaller guy.
Right. That's
so
crazy.
It's very interesting how they match up, that they can't break each other's serve. I mean, I understand Mahut not being able to break Isner's serve, and I actually do understand Isner not being able to break Mahut. So it's like the levels really combine to a point where the serve is so strong on one end, and the ground strokes or the ground game much better for Mahut, to the point they can't break each other. So that's pretty cool.
But that's crazy, because like the longest match that I've seen was the one I talked about at Wimbledon a few years ago, where final set was 19 to 17, but for it to be 70 to 68 and them still not doing the fifth set tiebreaker, that's crazy. But there was nothing I'd heard anything like that before. But that was 2010. That was really before I started keeping up with tennis. And I'm just glad to hear that it lasted 665 minutes, because if it lasted one more minute, everyone would think it's the devil's tennis match.
Yeah, exactly. It's like hell, and they have to play tennis
Yeah, it
for
would be
eternity.
666 minutes. Okay, nope.
Uh-huh. Right. Well, on my match that I played today, we played 3 sets in about 2 hours and 15 minutes because we started at 9:30 a.m. We finished, sorry, 11:30 a.m. and we finished at like 1:45. So that's a 3 set, amateur doubles match.
Right.
You can imagine the professionals just take way longer.
Oh, I can imagine, especially with it being best of 5 sets, trying to imagine how long you would have to stay out and how sweaty and tired you would get from playing that long. Assuming yet it has to go into 5 sets, but still, even if someone beats someone in straight sets, they still have to win it, play at least 3 sets, and that's still going to get you sweaty. Because in doubles, like, keep in mind, you're only doing half the work that you would do in a singles match. Because match, you got to be all over the court. But doubles, like, I kind of think you and your partner you take turns and stuff.
There's definitely less running around. Like, you have to cover less court, and the points are usually faster. There's not that many rallies that are as long. But the thing is, like, they are working so hard in the doubles because you're moving. Even like there could be a point where you don't hit the ball at all, and you're still moving so much, just trying to, because the ball's so fast, it might come to you. So you have to be ready and moving and recovering and split stepping the whole way, even if you're not hitting the ball. So yeah, it's very demanding. Even doubles, it doesn't look like it is because they make it look kind of easy, but I definitely feel way more tired when I play a doubles. Well, I'll rephrase that. I feel more sore and my joints ache more and my body's just more overall beat up when I play doubles versus singles because there's less rhythm. You make a lot of jerky movements. A lot of times you have to poach and be really quick and fast.
Right.
In singles, you get more of a rhythm. You have time to set up every shot. So yeah, doubles is definitely hard on the body. Of course, if you play like a little bit lower level, then you don't have to move as much. And yes, there is less work to be done. But yeah, one time I saw Hingis play doubles. That was pretty amazing. I used to like her a lot, and seeing her live, it was pretty fun because she keeps a smile on her face the whole game, and so that was cool to see. But the Wimbledon right now, what do you think? It's going on. We have the round of 16.
Right.
I checked some of the draw. One interesting match that I see coming up. It's Fritz and Zverev. They're actually I like them both, and in my opinion, they play very similar games. So that might be an interesting match. Definitely a fun one to watch for me because I think they play very similar styles.
Taylor Fritz. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely a decent player, probably one that people overlook. But
Yeah.
Alexander Zverev, we all saw what he did to Djokovic in the last Summer Olympic tennis. And he did come close to winning the French Open.
Get really far, and he actually, had a bit of a chance. Remember, he was 2 sets up.
Right.
To 1.
No, that's the thing about Zverev. I mean, you can't count him out. I mean, he made it all the way to the finals. Yeah, he was ahead at one point. But, it's those last 2 sets. Alcaraz beat him 6-1 to 6-2. And that's kind of what goes back to, I think, what I previously mentioned about how tennis, sure, you do have to have the strength. You got to be able to have the right, perception to be hitting the ball and stuff. But at the same time, a lot of it is mental. So if you kind of just lose the mental ability to, like, keep playing and just, keep hitting the balls and stuff, you're going to start missing them, or you might start faulting and stuff like that. And that's what happened to Djokovic, and apparently that's what happened to Zverev in the French Open. But I can't remember where it was, but I came across this story earlier today where I read some statistic. I don't know where they got their information, but it did say something about Carlos Alcaraz is currently the favorite to win Wimbledon. And that is even over Djokovic. Now, what's weird is that, who is it? I mean, I could see Alcaraz ranks number 3, I
Mhm.
understand like he's not the best yet, but then Djokovic is currently number 2. He's still in it. I'd still bet on him to win the tournament. I know he's really trying to win that 25th Grand Slam in top Margaret Court. But let's see, who's he take? He's taking on who's it?
On Rune.
Holger Rune
Yeah, Rune.
from
Yeah.
Denmark. So I
Yeah.
don't know much about him either. I mean, obviously Djokovic, the betting odds I checked earlier are like minus 320. So
You know, Djokovic, watching him play against the previous, I think on the fourth round was this guy Popperin,
yeah,
and he was taking it to Djokovic, and Djokovic did not look too fresh. He has a knee brace, and I definitely saw him make some movements where he was kind of trying to avoid pain or landing on the leg. There
oh, I
was
could see that.
particularly one backhand volley where Djokovic hit a backhand volley, and the way he kind of landed, because he kind of had to jump a little bit, like get a little bit of air momentum, and he
Right.
landed kind of weird. And that's how, I mean, I imagine that's how I would do it if I had to watch my right leg. Like if I didn't want to hurt it. I mean, he did it. He still won the point and won the actual match,
Right.
and he was okay, but not too fresh in terms of movement, and especially Popperin took him to 4 sets. I think it was 4. I
It
don't
was
think
4
they made it to
sets.
5.
So yeah,
Yeah.
Popperin beat him the first set, and then Djokovic won the next 2, broke Popperin at least once in those sets. But then, yeah, the 4th set it went to a tiebreaker, but Djokovic pulled
Exactly.
out the win.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think Djokovic is going to get this one just from that performance. I don't know. Maybe he'll pull it off because he's
I mean, I
incredible,
think
but
that he'll probably go through at least to the semifinals.
yeah, or even the final. Yeah.
No, it could be him and Alcaraz again, like last year. And I actually did end up losing money off of Alcaraz. I'm not Alcaraz. I bet on Djokovic last
Yeah.
tournament at Wimbledon because I didn't know much about Alcaraz. Like I saw he won the U.S. Open in 2022 as his first
Oh,
tournament, but a
yeah.
lot of that had to do with the fact that I think Djokovic had to withdraw, or he ended up leaving that tournament. And so it
Mhm.
was like, okay, out of the players that are left, like none of the other top players were there. Alcaraz looked like the best one left.
Yeah.
But then, like, for him to go on and actually beat Djokovic at Wimbledon last year, that's what got me to start keeping an eye on him. Like, wait, he
Oh,
can
yeah.
do that? Okay, I'm watching him. And
No, I've been keeping an eye on him since, I'm gonna say, 2 years ago. I mean, he was coming up. People.
oh, even
still
before he won his first Grand Slam?
Oh yeah, way before. Yeah, I was keeping an eye on him because he was just incredible and started winning some important tournaments or just beating players. And he was like 18, I think. No, I think now he's 20 or something. But he was, I kept telling people, oh, this kid, from Spain, he's amazing. He's like a Nadal coming up. And there was one match against Aliassime. I think he's American. No, yeah, I think he's American, Aliassime. And they were in the U.S. Open, maybe third round, fourth round, something like that, and or quarters, maybe. I trying to remember, but he pulled out of an injury. But even in that match, I was like, yeah, he's got the game. Like, no, he actually lost the match. I think he lost. But you could tell he was in or hurt. He was hurt somehow.
No,
He
of
was-
course.
He wasn't really playing his tennis, and from then on I kept putting an eye. So once I started hearing, like you said, that he started winning, people were paying attention to him more and more and more and more.
Of course.
Now to the point where he's kind of the favorite, and
Oh, yeah.
especially considering it's grass. And I wouldn't think that his game was so good for grass or hard courts as good as it is. So it's just that, like, the kid can just beat anyone. He's really, like, I think he's one of those players that, like, doesn't really care who he's playing. Like, he'll hit the same ball, and the ball is good. Like, the way he hits, like, so he's not trying to beat whoever's in front of him. He's just, like, playing the shot, and that shot can beat anyone in the world. Like, it could beat Djokovic and Zverev and any guy you throw at him. The style of game is very modern too, and the drop shot being kind of a weapon that most players don't use as he does. So
Right.
definitely got that edge to him. And not missing those the drop shots that he hits for winners that just look so freaking close to the net and so short. You would think that if he missed a few of those, it could change the whole match, the whole uh, outcome. But
Yeah.
he manages to get them in and make them when he needs them, and it's pretty amazing actually. A lot of players now are starting to use the drop shot. Amateur players or recreational
Oh
are
yeah.
starting to use the drop shot more because they're inspired by it. Yeah, it's like, well, the drop shot is like when you hit a very, very short ball that barely clears the net and just lands very short. And so
Oh, yeah. I mean, Djokovic was doing that long before.
yeah. They were all. I mean, they all have Nadal has a drop shot, Federer, but the way Alcaraz uses it, I think it's pretty bold, and in some way even them, like Nadal and Djokovic, would not use it as much because they knew that if they were to miss that, it could change the whole thing, because it gives the other opponent a lot of confidence that when you're doing drop shots, it's almost like you're giving up on the point when you miss them, because it's like, okay, you're banging the ball back and forth, and then you do a drop shot and it doesn't work. It's kind of like, oh, I just wanted to, stop the pain of having to work this point and just wanted a freebie or a quickie. But
I feel the
Alcaraz,
pain of everyone.
Alcaraz uses it just more frequently, more bold, and in situations like the movement around the fake, also the way he fakes that he's gonna hit a shot and then ultimately hits the drop shot is pretty amazing.
Oh, I know. I mean, honestly, like, he surprised me because a lot of people at his age, they might do good, but to already have won 3 Grand Slam titles at his age, and I think, he turned 21 this year, and he's already won 3 Grand Slams. So his next tournament, or his next match, is with Tommy Paul, who's a U.S. tennis player.
Yeah, I'm surprised how many U.S. players. I mean, surprised not in a bad way, but like,
right?
It's good. Like, I mean, it's good to see more Americans in the Wimbledon, because there for a while they couldn't get. It's a tournament that actually does benefit more American type players, because they usually have a strong serve and strong forehand game, which is beneficial, very beneficial in Wimbledon.
Yeah, and believe it or not, the player who currently ranks number 1, Jannik Sinner.
Oh yeah, that's the one to watch as well. Yeah,
and actually, believe it or not, and I would have thought he'd play one of the lower ranked players with the way they stacked the matches, but he's playing Medvedev.
Yeah,
the Russian player, and Medvedev currently ranks number 5, and that's kind of interesting. They'd pair the number 1 and 5, and it's like Zverev, he's playing the number 13 player. Djokovic's playing 15. Alcaraz is playing the number 12 player. So
yeah,
it's going to be interesting how it plays out. But yeah, the rest of the round of 16 will be done on Monday, July 8th.
But as Medvedev had a match with Dimitrov, and I think Dimitrov pulled out very early, like in the first set.
That was a retired match.
So that's really good for Medvedev, because now he got rest. He didn't have to play that match, and so that's really that could set the difference too for him to get to the final or beyond, because everybody's playing tough, aggressive 5-setters or at least 4-setters, and this guy's gonna have a free kind of pass. He might take advantage of that.
Correct, and I know you were talking about how certain players do on the grass compared to the hard courts, and we all know Rafael Nadal was a great player, but that he always struggled at Wimbledon just because he would do great on the hard clay, but then once he would play on the grass, he would like do good against the amateur or the new players, but then once it would reach like the round of 16 or the quarterfinals, and he started playing the really good players, he was just done.
Yeah. Well, his game also, the topspin forehand being the penetrating or more weapon type shot on grass, doesn't really affect the opponent as much as it does in clay or even hard court, because the grass kind of skips. So even if you hit a very strong topspin, that ball's not going to pop up so much, and players are hitting less high, lower balls. They're hitting
Right.
lower balls, which is good for them. And so Nadal cannot get, that. He did win it a few times, didn't he? Didn't he win Wimbledon?
Wimbledon, he's pretty much known for winning the French Open. I know
Yeah.
that's the one that was his specialty, that he's won the most titles of.
No, he did. He did win Wimbledon.
Let's see.
I remember that. Remember that.
Yeah, he
was,
won it a couple of times, but that
yeah.
was back in the day. Like
Yeah, back in
most,
the day when Federer was the one winning them, and he'd get to the final with Federer, and they had some really good battles out there in the grass.
Yeah.
Those were the fun times for me watching tennis. I used to actually watch them more often than I do now.
right.
That was the era.
That was before I started keeping up with tennis. When I started watching it, that's when he was winning the French Open. And see, like, how many titles did he end up getting? Ended up winning 14 French Open titles. So almost all of his titles were from that.
And then what about? I think if you look up Nadal's clay court match record, it's crazy.
Oh yeah. And that was a funny thing, was that Nadal was who kept Novak Djokovic from winning the French Open for a while, because I remember Djokovic, he dominated at the Australian Open. He'd won, the US Open a few times. He'd won Wimbledon a few times, but that French Open, he kept struggling with. And then he finally just ended up, I think 2016 was his first time winning the French Open. And then what happened in Wimbledon that year, he got beaten the third round.
Oh yeah.
It was so much was riding on him to win his first trophy there that once it hit Wimbledon, it was nope.
Yeah, well, he's got 474 matches won and only 45 lost. So that's a 91% win rate. And it's the record, The second to that is Bjorn Borg. So
Does Djokovic even have? I thought Djokovic would have one of
Djokovic
the highest
has
percentages
on
now.
clay 270 matches won and lost 66, which gives him an 80% win rate.
Right.
And then Guillermo Villas, he's got 672 wins, so that's the biggest number of matches played, but he lost 169, so less than 80% win rate. But yeah, no, Djokovic is in there as well in the clay as a record.
Right.
And then Rafael Nadal has 63 clay titles, and none of the modern players are in their muster. You got Borg and Villas, so it's incredible, man. But he's out, man.
I think Nadal's pretty much done. He's pretty much retired now.
I wonder where he's gonna retire. When he's gonna just pull the plug. I think he should. I mean,
I think he's pretty much done. I mean, I think he's pretty much about where Federer was last year, where Federer wasn't really playing in the singles, but he did compete in I think the doubles at one of the tournaments last year, and ended up losing. But then that was kind of the deal. That's the unfortunate thing. You have these great players, they just kind of age catches up with them, and then they kind of have some of their last matches and it just doesn't go well. It's just kind of sad. It ends in a loss.
Nadal is one of the things about him is that I think he draws the most crowds and money out of every single player out there. I think that when Nadal plays, people pay money to watch, and so a lot of people are gonna miss him.
Oh yeah.
Of course they will. There's a lot of people that would never go watch a tennis match, but if Nadal's playing, it's they all want to go see him play, and he just draws so much money into the sport. So it's a shame that he's getting out.
I think I would argue that Roger Federer did the same thing, because sure, he was winning a lot of matches back in the day, back when he was the one known for winning the Wimbledon titles.
Right.
He was popular and stuff, but then when it got to where he was starting to get older, and then you had some of the other players coming up and they were beating him, then it started to get to where the crowds just loved cheering for Federer because they wanted him to come back and win another match.
Right.
And that was kind of what was funny, was that Djokovic, he would be there trying to get the crowds cheering for him. But I remember those matches where it got real close with him and Federer, the crowd was always cheering for Federer.
Definitely, yeah.
And so that's what one of the commentators was saying, was that, Federer, he's getting older. He's, of course, not winning as much, but then the crowds, that's why they're cheering for him. They want to see him, like, win another title before he retires.
Right.
And they're wondering, like, when Djokovic gets older and he's not winning as much, are the crowds going to start cheering for him like that?
No, I don't think so. Not as much, I don't think so. I think he's got a lot of haters too. I mean, Djokovic, for many reasons,
Well, other than the fact that he's just like a really good player and stuff.
Yeah, you're always gonna get haters when you're so good and stuff. But I mean, there have been times where people are booing him, and he's just like basically saying, give me more. It's like,
yeah.
So,
I mean,
and sometimes where he won and the people did not like him, even after winning, and he would rub it in their face and stuff. So.
Oh, I know. People were getting upset and he even played into it one day because he knew there was a tournament I watched at Wimbledon. It was actually like 10 years ago. It went into a fifth set. Djokovic ended up pulling off the win, but Federer definitely made him work for it. But at the end of the tournament, when Djokovic was making a speech, he was like, I'd like to thank Federer for letting me win the match today. He knew the crowd didn't want him to win, but he was trying to kind of lighten the mood and just get something going because he's, he knows what he's got to deal with. And
he does, yeah.
At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what how the people in the audience feel. It's that if you want that trophy, that's what matters. If you're the one that wins the title, it doesn't matter. Like,
everybody has to suck it up.
I would still put my money on Djokovic, like I've always been saying,
this
to win
year?
Wimbledon.
I
really think so. I don't really think, like, even though they're like, well, hey, I think Alcaraz has the advantage. Sure, he did pull off the upset against Djokovic last Wimbledon. A lot of people weren't expecting that. It could happen, but like that's why a lot of people are putting Alcaraz as the favorite because he won last Wimbledon, and they're like, I think he can beat him again, but. You don't really know what the strengths are, but Djokovic may have learned from playing Alcaraz. Like, maybe he's got some new tactics on how to beat him, but also the fact that you're saying he hurt his knee and had to withdraw.
That's the only thing that keeps me from betting on him.
That would be the only thing that would hold him back, in my opinion, is if he just doesn't really have the strength, or it's like his knee just kind of holds him up and he's just not able to pull out the win, but. I could still easily see him going into the finals, but it's definitely going to be something to watch, especially when it gets to the semifinals, because at that point, it looks like you could easily have like Jannik Sinner or Medvedev. Either one could win that quarterfinal, and I'd still say Alcaraz probably beats Tommy Paul, Djokovic probably beats Rune, and then Zverev will probably beat Fritz. But then that's just the round of 16 with Zverev and Djokovic. And then going into the quarterfinals, I don't know who they're playing, but I'd say it's definitely going to be players that are in the top 10 that all go to the semifinals. Yeah,
definitely Alcaraz might get through. I mean, they're not struggling too much, the big guys, Sinner. Shelton's a good player. He could be pretty hard to beat on the grass because he's got a big serve, the American.
Right.
Musetti, that guy I don't see him going through, and then Deminaur definitely not. I don't see him going through either. So this guy Phils, I don't really know who that is. He might be actually not that highly ranked. Do you know anything about him, the French guy? I think I heard that he's like a young kid coming up.
He's a Gen Z, man.
Oh yeah, man, 2004 he was born. So it looks like he's coming up, and I think he just won his first title that got him into this draw, and he's already in the round of 16. So that's great to see.
Absolutely. I mean,
someone to watch out for.
And that's the thing. Like, you don't expect to see a lot from maybe those 18 or 20-year-olds, but just for them to make it even that far, that definitely says something. But who's to say he won't pull out a win? I mean, Alcaraz pulled out his first win at like 19, right? So
yeah, you never know.
Anything is possible. But Alcaraz, I don't know. He could repeat, but I'm still betting on Djokovic.
Yeah, and then also this guy Phils, I mean, kind of good for him that he's got a good draw, because Deminaur is a really good player, but he doesn't really have much in terms of weapons. And he's very just consistent and moves really well. So this guy Phils can actually go further. I can see it. Deminauer is also, I mean, he could definitely win too because he's number 9, and but I never see Deminauer going to the final or the semi, maybe the semi, but not farther than that. So yeah, good draw, man. Good draw. It's gonna be fun matches.
Absolutely. Yeah, round of 16 concludes on the 8th. Quarterfinals start on the 9th. But yeah, we'll find out. And then the finals are next Sunday, which I'd say, and I'm pretty much certain that it's going to be a rematch between Djokovic and Alcaraz. And I think that's what a lot of people are thinking will play out to be. But
I think
you're talking about,
squeeze.
yeah, Jannik Sinner, not to count him out.
Oh,
and the
Sinner,
fact that he still
him.
currently ranks as the number 1 player going into Wimbledon, even though he lost the French Open, and anything could happen. And you said he's definitely an underrated player, one that we could watch out for.
There's like 4 or 5 players that really could win the whole thing.
Exactly. I mean, Medvedev, I think, is good, and he could beat Sinner, but then at the same time, based on what I've seen from some of the other players, I mean, I kind of feel like he will go down in the semifinals, and even if he pulls out a win, makes it to the finals, whoever plays him is going to just slam him. I just really don't think Medvedev has the power to win.
Yeah, he doesn't have the conviction, I think, and he said that publicly. He's like, I'm done playing for trophies. I'm just gonna play for me. Basically saying like, I'm just gonna get paid, you know.
Yeah, but who are the trophies for? For you.
Well, he actually said that like playing for trophies is like playing for the audience and the public to get recognition, and you know, he's another guy that's hated for some reasons or another, kind of like a Djokovic, even more so in some places.
I think part of it has part of it has to do with the fact that he's a Russian player, and they have that whole conflict with the Russia-Ukraine war, so he's going to get haters just because of where he's from. Although he probably has nothing to do with the war, people are still going to be like, well, hey, you're from Russia, we don't like you.
Yeah.
But I think that's silly, but I don't know. I can't control how the
audience
That's why
he's
reacts.
Like, why am I even stressing about a trophy where nobody cares?
Of course not. Like,
I can just play and not kill myself and have a good income, you know. You make it to the semis, you still get paid a bunch of money. So
of course, I mean, and that's the whole deal, and probably what a lot of viewers may not really recognize, because all they're thinking about, and kind of like what we're talking about now, is who's going to win, who's probably the best player. That's all that we're looking at. That's all that ESPN or the Tennis Channel will be talking about. Yeah. But I've kind of like, so in my spare time, I've like looked at some of the tables. And I've noticed, like, oh my gosh, like, look how much the prize money jumps up the further the round goes. So it's like, you could go on to the quarter or semifinals and still lose, but then guess what? You're still getting a pretty good amount of prize money. So even if you just win the first round, guess what?
Even if you lose the first round. Even if you lose the first round, that's like $100,000.
Right, because you're guaranteed something just for participating. Exactly. But just the fact that even if, you know, you're a new player and you only win like 1 or 2 rounds, whatever, like, you're not going to be seen as a great player, but guess what? It's still gonna, your bank account will be happy with you.
Yeah, you're doing your job, right? You're like,
while we're on the topic of prize money, I know it's kind of like something that might be a little bit controversial, but I kind of think just the fact that, like, it's only in the Grand Slam tournaments where if it's only men's singles where they got to win best of 5, and every other tournament or every other match, it's like women's singles or doubles. It's only best of 3. But no matter who wins the matches, the table for the prize money is always the same. In my opinion, I feel like in the men's singles, the prize table should be higher because of the fact that they are having to play longer. They're having to, like, you know, win 3 sets. They're more sweaty. And look, I'm all about equal pay for equal work, no matter who's playing. But here's the deal. If you're doing more work, if you're, like, you know, busting yourself more on the court, you should get more prize money.
Yeah. Well, you got to thank the feminists for that one, because that's what it really comes down to.
Well, I understand that.
You're right. I mean, and the thing is, like, they just accept it, I guess. They just accept it as a fact of
Right.
of
I mean,
things. But
and
what can you do?
I'm perfectly fine. Like if the men's singles was only best of 3, I'm more than okay with everybody getting the same prize money.
Right, I agree with
But you
No, I
got
agree
to like
with you. Yeah.
you're basically this is basically like, equal pay for having to do more work.
Yeah, exactly. It's
And
like
the
the
tournament,
opposite of equal.
that's not necessarily fair. The way I see it is like, hey, why don't you have the women play best of 5?
There you go.
Serena Williams would win every time.
Well, not in, yeah, no. I mean,
No.
and the thing is, like, you'd be surprised, like, how much it would change. You didn't even know who would come up in the draws if they did change that. I never heard of a woman that has played 5 sets.
Right.
Like you know what I mean? Like because sometimes guys like that I play with or whatever do it. Like we'll play 5 sets. It's rare. Well, like, for example, when you play tournaments, sometimes you play 2 matches in one day. So both women and men do that in amateur tournaments.
Right.
So the
mixed
amateurs are
doubles,
actually playing more sets than the pros, and we ain't
Right.
get paid nothing.
any type of doubles, it doesn't matter if it's women's, men's, or even the mixed doubles.
Yeah.
They're only playing best of 3. It's
Yeah.
only men's singles where it's best
They
of
have
5,
to
and that's
play
the
the
way
5
I
set.
see. Like
Yeah,
you
I
should
agree with you.
you should just up the prize money if they got to play
Yeah.
more. That's all I see it as. If
yeah,
not,
yeah, I agree.
then
Or
just
give
reduce
them
it.
a car or something, like some kind of bonus for doing the
Right.
5 sets or something.
That's what I think is that, like, hey, if the way I see it, yeah, if you don't want to give them more prize money, then just
Give
only
'em some
make them play best of 3, or make the women's singles go to best of 5. I'd love to see that.
I agree. No, 100%. And it's like
And
I
hey,
said,
the feminists say that women are stronger than men, so they shouldn't have any problem playing best of 5.
absolutely, yeah. But it doesn't work in real life. Like nobody gets paid equal amount to anyone else. A lot of times is what you can negotiate.
Right.
Like, and what you agree to do. Because once you agree to do a certain job for a certain amount of money, nobody's forcing you. No matter you're playing Wimbledon or washing dishes, you
Right.
decide to do it. Nobody's forcing. I mean, there's as far as I know, there's no forced labor in our realm, right? I mean, it exists, but it's far from our reality. I don't know anyone that has to work for nothing or is forced to do something. We all choose, and that's why you get paid less, because you chose to do something. If people did not do certain types of jobs for so little, nobody would do them, and the wages would go up because they still need people to do it anyways. But
Correct.
there's always someone that jumps in and says, "I'll do it for less." And you got like that's why immigration is such a thing, because there are people coming into the country that are willing to do jobs that people from here would not do for that little. And so equality is
Right.
just it's not even real. And going back to Wimbledon, I actually don't disagree that they should. I mean, if they decide to pay the men the same amount than the women or then, like you said, other because also men play doubles and they don't have to play.
No, they don't have to play best of 5.
sets. So
Because in that case, it's fine. Like if it's
unfair
mixed
for the men's
doubles,
singles.
yeah, if it's mixed doubles,
Yeah.
pay them both the same.
Mixed
They're doing
doubles,
the same
yeah,
amount
exactly.
of work. Yeah.
Exactly. But I would argue that I don't think that's a bad idea to pay the men the play the 5 sets the same amount as everybody else. But don't call it equality. That's all I'm saying. Is don't
Right.
call it
No, I
equality,
understand what
because
you're
they do
saying.
have to work harder. So if we don't call it that, and we just agree that this equality will never be reached and doesn't exist in real life, it sounds good on paper. It's an utopian idea of rainbows and sunshines. It doesn't exist, and the men still agree to play the Grand Slam for 5 sets, so they'll do it as long as they accept it, I guess. That's
Of course.
like the demand and supply thing that I was talking about the other day, right?
Demand and supply. Like they still want to win those trophies, so they're like, it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
I've got to do this. I got to play best of 5. Like, it's kind of like Novak Djokovic. He brought up the same thing. Like he once said in an interview, like saying like, it wasn't saying anything against anybody. It's just like, talking about like, if I got to play best of 5 and like more viewers are interested on like the matches that I'm competing in, like, hey, I should get paid more. But you know, at the same time, it's
but it's
kind of
like the same argument as the other people were making for them for getting paid the same as him. So it's like you have to give in to someone, because there's just two people demanding better pay. Basically, we all want more, and that's the bottom line. It's like nobody. What about this? What if certain, you know, let's say the certain WNBA players were getting paid more than NBA players? No one would say anything, because it doesn't sound good on paper. You're going to say, hey, you know, why, you know, because, you know, we live in 2024, you know, you can't say anything about women liberation being a bad thing or anything, you know, God forbid. So there's no argument for that if it was reversed. But that's what bothers me, is that they come out with this kind of like unfair. It's unfair, and it's a rigged system that favors men or certain category of men or certain people. And it's just simply not true. It's just nature. It's just nature doing its job. And when we kind of correct these things with, you know, progressive action or whatever it is, sometimes we make it worse. You know, sometimes because now there's hostility. Now Djokovic is upset. Now, you know, there's a rivalry with the employer, I guess, being the tournaments, and the employees being the players. And that is always going to exist no matter what you do. Like,
there's always going to be controversy. There's no perfect utopia. All right, well, so we may not have the same opinions as the status quo when it comes to sports or in certain aspects, but that's really not what this show's about. We're not here to match the zeitgeist.
Yep, I agree. The world is going around, and we're not trying to disturb its path.
Right. Yeah, I mean, but at the same time, hey, these are our opinions. We do have the right to those, and at the same time, if you disagree, leave a comment. Just like, be respectful of our opinions, we'll be respectful of yours. And now I'll have to ask you, deal or no deal? That's my game show audition. But yeah, that could be a whole new episode. But in the meantime, stay tuned for the next episode of the Napoleon and Gueco podcast.
Peace, everybody.
Peace.